All right, everyone. We got the good news. Black Bear, formerly known as Black Bear Picture, which is an independent film company led by Teddy Schwartzman, launched a U.S. theatrical distribution division, were headed by longtime CAA media finance head, agent, and co-head Benjamin Kramer. Now, Kramer or whatever the name is. Black Bear was originally started. If you don't know, Black Bear was originally started an independent film studio led by Teddy Schwartzman, a former Cinetel film executive and Cinetech film. I don't know what it is. And the first film was in 2012. There's a film called hold on a second, At Any Price, starring Dennis Quaid. But now that it was an underrated film, but if you drama film you can see, but it got a breakthrough until 2014 with the Imitation Game starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley, which probably got an Oscar buzz. And even though this movie is related to that, so this and then we kickstart the career company while put Black Bear Pictures on the map. It also worth noting that in the beginning of 2020s, it expanded to become the independent film company, but now it expands to into the 2020s because after STX Entertainment was officially gone downhill spiral, was sold to another company, that shutdown of STX Entertainment UK with the former employees was launched Blackbird UK. For that, the UK was his UK subsidiary of Blackbird was being handled the theatrical distribution and the home video. I think home video was released on Prime Video. Of these titles for Black Bear were formerly led by the former SAX Entertainment UK subsidiary employees, and later, and before that, he also bought the owner of the minority stake of the Canadian film distribution Elevator Pictures. So that's what I know, and this is why Teddy's somebody expanded U.S. distribution, film theatrical distribution when they appear like in rivals with indie film companies that likes of Lionsgate, as well as the indie art house companies like A24 and Neon, and especially Movie was a streaming service, but that was ventured to the theatrical distribution, all thanks to the success of the substance. So here's what I had to say about the deadline. He said some big news spanning the independent film distribution. Oh, and IFC Films. Who will forget? Later renamed as a independent film company. But the rest. Anyway, and it said in the deadline, it says some big news spanning independent film distribution and the Los Angeles agency scene. Teddy Schwartzman indie studio Black Bear is expanding into U.S. distribution has hired longtime CAA media finance co-head Benjamin Kramer to oversee their operation. The ambitious U.S. arm will release up to 12 Black Bear and the Fur Body productions per year. We understand there's multiple high-profile movies already slate which go to for the pipeline. The company will focus on the filmmaker-driven fare and wide-release action and drama movies. So now, upon I know that Black Bear was then pretty much in the film fraud to become the mini major of the studio. Now, before that, back in the days in the film distribution, which had the 60s and 70s, there's all called Embassy Pictures, there's American International Pictures. In the 80s, had the Film Rays, New World Pictures, and most biggest one was Orion Pictures and Caracal Pictures. And then eventually in the 90s, it went to the Gone was pretty much the all biggest hit was New Line Cinema was made in the 80s and 90s was originally began in the late 60s, but it also this time when also Lionsgate was foundation in the later half of the 1990s was originally in the Canadian film distribution was on for formerly known as Cineplex Film Properties, but now under new name Lionsgate Films. And then 2000s, then New Line Cinema gone to success with the Lord of the Rings movies, and Lionsgate was gone to breakthrough with Saw um and then especially the Saw franchise, as well as in small films were all gone to success. And then in 2010s, Lionsgate was, and also in the same time, Summit Entertainment has gone breakthrough with the Twilight franchise, was gone first Twilight movie gone $1 million and put the Summit Entertainment on the map after years of struggle. But in 2010s, Lionsgate was still at the top. Midnight Cinema folded to Warner Brothers. Lionsgate was now under the new era because they acquired Summit Entertainment, and now a venture to the Hunger Games franchise was become Lionsgate became mini major on the map because of the success. As for the new franchise including Now You See Me and John Wick. And also, at the same time, STX Entertainment it was launched and it was released in some okay films and it will co-finance with Chinese film media companies. Some movies like Hustlers and Edge Edge of 17. But and as far as the Guy Ritchie The Gentleman movie. But in 2000s, the STX Entertainment was shut down um, and eventually they started in a few independent film companies. I mentioned that the iHouse ones, like in 1990s, in the late 80s, that Orion Classics. In the 90s, Miramax came on the in the picture. This bought by Disney, and they got into breakthrough success with the biggest film, The Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, and he was becoming the known. And the other independent iHouse film studios like Sony Pictures Classics and October Films and Good Machine and then and later and also in later 2000s that the and also at the same time that Sunlight Pictures was launched, formerly known as Fox Sunlight Pictures, and then in 2000s with um, the formation we merged with USA Films, Good Machine, October Films, into the Focus Features for this today. So he's best known to films like Dallas Buyer Club, Brokeback Mountain, um, how's it again? Eastern Province, and Milk, and more recently the Dr. Abbey movies, and was probably gone to set based on the TV series, and the third and final film was on the way. And also they handled the international distribution since 2016 and 2015 because he hadn't released an international distributions of the films porting from A24 and Neon, and it was one biggest one was the Arona won the Best Picture and was marked the only film by Focus was distributed by Focus Features internationally, but then related to distribution, nothing to do with on the Best Picture. So there's that. And also in 2010s, that he also launched the two companies, A24 and Neon, was from now handled the independent film circuit as revival and thanks of its success, including A24 was gone huge in the numbers. And then 2020s, that movie was also ventured to theatrical film distribution since it was originally started as a streaming service, but since a movie acquired the Match Factory, was a film sales based in Germany, was gone to success with the big and then probably gone breakthrough with the Sofia Coppola's Priscilla, was Priscilla Presley's biopic, Khalifa John's The Substance, Luca Guadagnino's Queef, and later they acquired the distribution rights of Lynn Lancey's Die My Love, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. So this is going to be a huge independent film distribution. Now, if you ever notice that all the slate will begin when some films were related to do. And in the statement, he said this. Before to that, he said it in the statement, today marks the mission step of the Black Bear. As we solidarity our studio capitalize of the developer through release, building the successor distribution business, we equally in Canada with Elevator Pictures own the company. The UK was a BlackBerry UK subsidiary, and our US will now let the BlackBerry connected directly to audience across the country who remain hungry of quality and commercial event cinema. I am thrilled from Ben to spearhead the growth, bring him in vast relationship to expand the domestic marketplace and deal safety staffers and the keen understand what to work for U.S. audience. He's actually assembled the world-class team of distribution professional. So on behalf of myself and Blackbear's Michael Hellner and John Friedberg, we are thrilled to support him and roll out to the studio for the day and into the future. Now, if you don't know, Kramer was joined the CAA in 2005, and he's before that he's spent 8 years of co-head of the media finance department, who hadn't known the packaging and arranged financing and distribution of indie films. He also advised the top producers of financings of media investments, who been there for a long time, but now he later and eventually he leaving the company early this year. So, and here's what Kramer had to say in the statement. And before that, and also, what see it, Kramer also working with the Black Bear films, mostly from titles like Sing Sing, Yuan, Dum Dubby, Money, and Monbot, and also across on all side of the um, Black Bear was a financing was a The Brutalist was nominated for Best Picture. A Real Pain, the Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut, A Different Man, um, again for stars Sebastian Stan was gone Sussex from A24, Lane with Gerard Butler, Sin Street, like I mentioned, Greenland, another Gerard Butler movie, The Relevant, was a Leonardo DiCaprio's Oscar winner for Best Actor. Wind River, the supposedly a final film for the now deceased the Weinstein Company before scandal happened. Chicago and John Wick, the two which were from Lionsgate and also some an assisted company, Summit Entertainment, and Mud was a Matthew McConaughey's movie that Christopher Nolan saw the movie and he cast in the stereo movie. He also before that, Kramer was working at William Morris Agency. So Kramer has to say about the statement about what's in the future of Black Bear was into the U.S. Theatrical distribution. It's incredibly excited to join Black Bear at this moment for great opportunity in our business. I have the privilege of working with Teddy, John, Michael, and a team on as many successful films. I spent my career elevated what makes films resonate creativity and commercially, and look forward to now connecting the work and great filmmakers directly with the audience. While this is big straight to depart to all their friends, any clients and CAN, I'm thrilled to work with the global Black Bear team to get it cooking on the Black Bear's US distribution of folks to record with. So I probably didn't know that Black. So yeah, Kramer was on board to become the U.S. distribution, and it's probably know that I'm gonna mention this is like different distribution kind of thing. Like it did lies between like rival studios like Lions indie distribution company like Lionsgate, IFC Films, and um, the A24 Neon movie, and especially especially on the film company was gone. IFC Films, later independent film company. So and then later Magoya Pictures. So this brings it like the more different kind of direction. So um, the Black Bear brand was more different. So it's probably going to be a theatrical distribution, but with some few exceptions. So here's a slate. What's going on in the projects? Think so, including some of the movies and including some of the exception was on a different distribution beside the U.S. distribution by Black Bear, including Clint Brennan, Trainspotting, starring Joe Exton and Felicia Jones for Netflix. David McKenzie's Willet, starring Riz Allen, Linda James, and Sam Worthington. The everyone's answer the poor man's child coding, if you will, or releasing next month by Bleecker Street. Was the head of the U.S. distribution. Gary Ritchie's In the Gray stars Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Elsa Gomez was distributed by Lionsgate. The Sydney Sweeney led Christine Martin Poxy project with director David Michon. Daniel Rose Turner stars Leo Rolfe, Dustin Hoffman, and Harry Rose Liu. Rick Lackett, I Want Your Sex stars Olivia Wilde and Cooper Hoffman, who is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Andrew Patterson's The Rival of the Amazing King starring Matthew McConaughey. I want to take a moment to second about that. As probably know, the RollerReel.com made in a statement he has a problem they didn't find a U.S. distribution of that. It pretty know that he got okay reviews. He received 65 on Metacritic, but the distribution has to do shot in 2020, but shot in 2023, but it got delayed due to the final distribution. Like they did with Taxi Adventure reboot, that they they can find the distribution and after the premiere and the Fantastic Press, but then eventually pick up by Cineverse and as well as the subsidiaries we were discussing in Screenbox, was for the same company who did distribute Terrifying movies. But there's a film companies like kind of independent film companies like A24 Focus Features and Neon, or especially releasing on Netflix or heck, Apple original movies for Apple TV Plus. It might distribute by Sony Pictures or Universal Paramount, but that never happened. But eventually, Black Bear agreed to distribute this film in U.S. market. So since the U.S. Distribution, theatrical distribution was launched. So I hope to see what happens later that year or next year. Another films occurring post production was Guy Ritchie's Wife and Dog, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Rose by Bike, and Anthony Hopkins, and Roman Reigns' untitled action thriller starring Jason Statham, because since Blackbird was working close relationship with Mr. Jason Statham, the British action guy who actually worked with Guy Ritchie, was the last film was the A Working Man, a Sylvester Stallone scripted David Ayer directed film. Was probably known for her work since the garnered massive models success, even it beats Disney's woke Snow live action woke remake of Snow White at the box office. That's pretty good. I mean, I like to say A Working Man was a great film, and especially Judd. I give a shout out to Chuck Dixon for wrote the script, wrote the novel, and I really respect. You can buy River first. Deal with it, and as well as an upcoming female comedy, Spa Weekend for Batman's director Josh Lucas and Scott Moore, who stars Listening Man as a Fisher, Michelle Buttery, and Anna Faris. So, Black Bear is officially becoming U.S. theatrical distribution. It's now under the new roof, and we're with rivals in the indie mini majors like Lionsgate, and especially indie film companies like A24, Neon, Movie, and IFC Films, later independent film company, and Mercuria Pictures. So the Black Bear brand was now under the new life, and even working with the great film companies and distributions. Well, some of the few acceptance, like I mentioned, that the Train Dreams movie were from Netflix, um, David Metcalfe's Weird Play for Bleecker Street, and in Guy Ritchie's Ingrave under from Lionsgate. So three films were not distributed in US by Black Bear Pictures, but even distributed in different companies, but rather they handle the distributions in the release in theaters and the streaming service. So there we go. Black Bear is now under the new level as we will with great partnership, and I hope to see what happens in the future. Black Bear will want to do something better in the compete like an Indian film studio distribution like did what they before in Orion Pictures, Caracal Pictures, New Line Cinema, and of course Lionsgate and Summit Entertainment. So will we see what happens in? Oh, I know, almost forgot. At the same time, 2010, Relativity Media has also ventured to film distribution, but unfortunately, it fell short due to bankruptcy. So check out Mr. Kobe video about that in the topic and description. But say what was so yeah, Black Bear under the U.S. theatrical distribution way, along with the side with UK theatrical distribution, along with the Canadian film theatrical distribution known as Elevator Pictures since Black Bear or the company. So we'll see what happens in the later that year, and hope was will mark the new beginning of Black Bear. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.